If you could change any choices you have ever made, would you? You can always make another choice and change the course of your success. Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices radio show, Christine McIver.
Oh, welcome everyone. I am Christine McIver, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us today. We have another packed show supporting everyone out there that is an entrepreneur, is considering to be an entrepreneur, who definitely is a business owner, should be listening in. And I've got so many things that I really think speak to the environment where we show up with our information, with where we advertise, where we communicate. Yeah, these things are incredibly important. So last week, if you were with me, we talked about how to make bank with your connections. And when that show was complete, I came away from that and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to speak about all these other things that I really wanted to talk about. So hence, here we are today talking about connections again, and so important from a business perspective. So today we're talking about add and delete connections to grow your business. Now, if this is the first time you're joining, I'm really happy to have you here. If you're listening live, why don't you pop over to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com, click on the chat room, come on in and play with us there. We have a lot of fun, and you can ask your questions live during the show by just texting them. And you can also join us in the recording studio as an audience member. If you're just caught on to me and you're like, who is this person? Well, let me tell you about myself. I have been in business now for 13 years, and I work with individuals who are solopreneurs, with entrepreneurs, with business owners of all sizes, and really supporting them from a holistic, total macro view of everything that they are setting up for their business to support them to grow, and also to keep them on the cutting edge of what's going on online. I love working with individuals who have a brilliance, they're excited about what they do in their business and they want to bring it to the world. And of course, I'm the CEO of Inspired Choices Network, the platform you're listening to, our home platform. And I absolutely love to support individuals to learn to bring their voice and their message to the world. We have a lot of different opportunities, different levels of hosting that an individual can do. And we also have a free program. It's all about, how do I talk? What do I talk about? How do I show up? What about my lighting? What about my microphone? Everything you can imagine, right up to how do I monetize my shows and how do I leverage them? So come on over to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com/choice, and you'll get a lot of your information right there. And if you'd like, if you have any questions and you're listening to this in the replay, please send me an email, Christine@inspiredchoices.ca, or you can just find me online anywhere, and be happy to answer your questions. So let's get into tonight's show, add and delete connections to grow your business. I'm sure that a lot of you out there are thinking, delete connections? Yes. We're going to talk about building a business or expanding a business, how it requires strong connections. Knowing when and who to add or delete from your circle of connections can and will make all the difference in your focus and your energy in your business. So let's change the way we approach growing our business in order that we can enjoy the process and really flourish with all of our endeavors. Instead of being on the treadmill of, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I really invite you to stick around and let's lean into how we can create our business from the place of having pleasure. Can you imagine having pleasure with your connections? And that's what I really want to bring people's focus to today. So you know me, and if you don't, you're learning. The first thing I love to do is I like to look at the original definition of words. Because when you're using a word, words actually have their own energy. Everything has energy. And words have their own energy. And so there's specific words in what we're discussing tonight that I really want to bring your awareness to keep in mind what these words really mean. And ask yourself, as we're going through this, ask yourself, is that how I operate? Is my understanding of that word the original definition? And do I utilize that in my business, in my connections with people? So let's talk about this. So the first word I want to talk about is connection. The word connection. The original definition is state or fact of being connected. Okay, that's not too alarming. A binding or joining together. All right, a connection. To fasten together, to tie, to join together. And then it goes on. And this is the definition that I think really speaks to what we're reviewing tonight. And it's a circle of persons with whom one is brought into more or less intimate relations. Okay. So when we hear the word intimate relations in 2022, we oftentimes think of sex, right? Intimate relations, but that's not exactly what this totally means, not in the original definition. And again, the original definition of a word, that's still the energy of that word. The way that we understand it, the way that we utilize it, the way that we interact with those words, that's where things kind of go off the rails. And that's why I really love to bring your attention to these words before we dive in. Okay, so let's go with that definition tonight: a circle of persons with whom one is brought into more or less intimate relations. So then I went ahead and I looked up the word intimate. Intimate is closely acquainted or very familiar. That is not what we talk about or we think about when we think of the word intimate in today's world. Now, it does go on to say figuratively of affections or feelings. It's also used kind of like an extra. It's also used figuratively regarding our feelings. But the original, the real strong part of intimate is closely acquainted or very familiar. Okay, so this all ties into the word connection. All right, so we've laid the foundation for what I really want to bring to your attention today. So let's dive into what is this thing about connection. So in business, most people are looking to grow their business, right? We have a very base understanding that the more connections we have, the more we are going to increase the probability that someone is going to buy from us or hire us, right? That's what we have decided. So now here we are on a global stage, and we are communicating with people across our cities, our provinces, our states, across our countries and across the world. And we think it's not actually true, but we think because we have such a wider spread of opportunity to communicate with people that we will inevitably, without much consideration or effort, we will inevitably create these customer cash responses because we've increased the numbers of where we're being exposed. But that's not what's happening, right? How many of you out there in your business is you know that you have a much wider reach, but it is actually more challenging to turn those connections into cash sales, into purchasing customers and clients, right? I have experienced this. I know most of my clientele has experienced this as well. And this is where we really want to start to change that. And doing both adding and deleting connections is primary for you to really create those connections that are going to contribute to where you want your business to thrive and grow. Okay, so now I want to break it down a little bit more. So we're talking about connections. We think about, hey, I need to make more connections. And then we go on to different social media platforms. And on LinkedIn, you connect, okay? On Facebook, you become friends. I believe on Instagram, you become friends as well. So most of these places, we are either getting friends or we are getting followers. So tell me something, the definition of the word friend. Do you interact with all the friends that you have on these platforms? Are you interacting with them like you would your friend that you have coffee with? No, you're not. I know that for a fact. Do you know that probably more than 50% of people on social media platforms are viewers? They are just watching. Well, if 50% of your connections are just watching you, then guess what? Not only are they not interacting and really connecting with you, you're also not interacting and connecting with them, because they are standing back. And this is across the board. This is not just a few people. Across the board, people are watching. They are watching and they are watching. So when you really bring that to the forefront of your mind, you want to start thinking about, okay, who are my watchers? Who are the people that are watching and that occasionally engage? Who are the watchers that are reading my newsletters or my emails? Who are the ones that are out there that are just an extra, These are the things that we want to start to consider. Now, when you have friends, so you've got connections, you've got friends, and then you've got followers. Okay, so when you think of a follower, and this is what comes to mind for me, is a follower is someone that is watching every day, every week. They're watching what I'm doing and they're enjoying what I'm posting or I'm putting out in the world, but they're not necessarily interested in engagement. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have a public profile on many of these platforms, then you can have followers. I'm not sure if you can turn off followers, but if it's a public platform, they can then follow you. Sorry, if your profile is public, they can follow you without having to request to engage with you or to connect with you. And having followers, we would think, is not a bad thing. But again, we are talking about business. This is all from the business perspective, and that's what I want you to keep in mind as we continue to go through tonight's show. Now, I know we haven't gotten deep into a lot about adding and deleting, but it's so important that we understand the landscape of what we are working with and that we have our mindset correct and really clear about these different types of connections on these different platforms. Now, each platform is different, and I'm not going to get into that tonight. I'm not going to talk about all the different platforms. Of course, each of them have different advantages. They have different features. They have different possibilities. And I do not want you to believe that any platform is different when it comes to tonight's topic. It's not. It's exactly the same. All right. You still have the exact same advantages, and you still have the cost of having too many connections on all of these platforms. So I know that sounds really odd. I am completely going against the play the numbers game. And I'm going to tell you why, but we're going to get into that after the commercial break. So I want you to stick around. If you have any questions, come on over to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com/chat room or email me. I would love to hear your questions. Let's really start to change the way that we act within our businesses from the aspect of interacting with our possible future customers. All right. This is going to make a big difference as we continue along throughout the show. So you are listening to myself, Christine McIver, on the Inspired Choices show here on the Inspired Choices Network. Don't go away, my friends. We got lots more to share with you. I'll see you after the break.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my friends. Thank you again for joining us tonight. If you've just joined, you definitely need to go back and listen to the first segment of this show. The first segment of the show, I really laid the foundation of the understanding you need to have around the different definitions and what we are doing on these different platforms. So we talked about learning to have pleasure with your connections and what we've decided about what connections mean, and about really considering all of your connections on social media so you can start to identify your potential customers. These things are key. Okay, so let's come back to this. Something that was said when I was posting this week about this upcoming show is somebody said, this is a great topic. I love this. And what about are all of the people that are my quote unquote friends or followers, are any of them bot followers? So you know what a bot is, right? This is a computer generated. Yeah, there's a lot of computer generated profiles out there. And we know that these exist. And my question to each and every one of you is, if you are really, really friends with someone, and if you really have a connection with someone, are you going to know, or should you know, if they are a bot? Well, yes, you should. Because if you were really having a connection with them, you would know the difference between someone communicating as a real human or someone communicating as a bot. We've all communicated with bots. You know that when you go to a platform and there's a help message there, you open that and it's a bot. Like this one platform that I go to, I just immediately go in because they frustrate me. I don't want to talk to a bot. And I'll just keep going, customer service. And this one bot comes back and goes, come on, give a bot a break. Give me a chance. Oh, it's funny. Anyways, on to the show. So the bots, you could have bots out there. And this is where I'm challenging you. If you have friends that you are connected with and connections you are connected with, you should absolutely know if it's a bot. And if you don't, you've got some work to do, because it's time that you started to connect and really get to know your connections. So this is where I want to begin to challenge you. Your job, your very next job, is to start really looking at the people that you are connected with on these different platforms. And it might take you some time. It might take you quite a bit of time to start going through them. There's lots of different tools out there, and I don't have the name of them off the top of my head. I'll try to find one on our next break. But there are tools out there where you can connect into your profile on a different platform, and that tool will actually go through and evaluate every single one of your connections. And it will give you a listing of the least connections, the least amount of interaction that you have had with those connections. It might give you over a year you haven't connected with them, there's been no interaction, maybe 6 months, maybe 3 months, maybe a month. And you can set the parameters and do the filter on that. And then you can actually go in and just delete all of the ones I haven't interacted with for over a month, all the ones I haven't interacted for over 6 months. Now, why do we want to do this? Well, first of all, stop trying to play the numbers. Stop trying to have the most numbers wins. That's not true. First and foremost, you want to create real connections with your connections from a business perspective. Now, I've had lots of people say, but I have friends, I have family members. Then you know what? Make 2 profiles. Have a family only profile that you only connect with your family through, and then have a general, as it were, profile where you are really using your social media platform profiles as business. It's not a terrible thing to do that, but if you're going to utilize business on social media platforms, you need to come at it with a strong strategy. Your time is very, very valuable. And if you are like the rest of us on planet Earth, you have got your phone and you're checking it out. You're in social media, different platforms in social media. You're checking social media through your computer, and whichever platform and whichever device you're utilizing, you get different news feeds. Okay. If you have 5,000 connections, let's say, I think it's Facebook, you can have up to 5,000 connections, and you have 5,000 connections on Facebook. Okay. The old adage is the more connections, the more sales. Okay. Unless you have a team of about 10 people interacting with these 5,000 people, that's never going to be true. It's not. Because first of all, you're not going to see 5,000 people's interactions on social media every day. You're not. You would have to spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on your social media in order to increase the probability of seeing people's posts, interactions. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if 50% of those people are just people who are watching, you're still at 2,500 people. Can you imagine really reading 2,500 posts in a week? Can you imagine reading 100 posts in a day? You are spending a significant amount of time, which is your money, your currency. You are spending a significant amount of time on social media if you want to even just see 100 people. All right. This is really critical that you get your mind around this. So what I really want you to think about is come back and play with your calculator. I've talked about this many, many times. Get your calculator out and play with it. And we're going to do this right now, pulling my calculator out. If you wish to make $100,000 in a year, and you take that 100,000 and you divide that by 52 weeks, and you divide that by 5 days, so a week is $1,900 a week. You divide that by 5 days, that's $385 a day. $385 a day, and you have a product that you sell for $75. Okay. So divide the 384 by 75. That's 5 sales a day. Now I'm going to multiply that by 52, and then I'm going to multiply that by 5. So that is 1,334 sales in a year. Sorry, that's wrong. I'm doing it wrong. My mind just went all over. Okay, 100,000 divided by 52 divided by 5 is sales of 384 a day. Divided by your product of 75, you need 5 sales a day. 5 sales a day times 2,040. No, that's not right. 5 sales times 5 days times 52 weeks. Okay. it's 1,300 sales. It's also 1,300 customers. If you just sell them once, one and done a year, 1,300 customers. If you have 5,000 customers or 5,000 connections on Facebook, you have got, what is that? 400% too many customers that you have there. You want to have not just a friend, not just a follower, but a strong connection to increase the probability that they will move into being a customer or a client. All right. That's key. That is so, so very key. So what you want to do is you want to know how you connect and how you can nurture that connection. And that is where that's going to speak to where your mind is at. Think about this. Think about how you are connecting with people and how you're nurturing those connections. This is going to show you where your mind is at with what you're trying to do. And you can change that at any time, my friends. You absolutely can. But to how many intimate connections does your business require? That's the question you want to be asking. That's the question that you really want to be looking at. Now, I want you to think about this. If you come down to 500 customers a year, you come down to even 10 customers a month, depending on what your product is. If you come down to 10 customers a month that will fulfill 10 purchasing customers that will fulfill your year financial goal, that means 120 strong connections. Now play the numbers. 120, the old sales adage is 10 no's gets you a yes. You really want to look at, why am I connecting with this person? Why am I connected to this person? Who even is this person? How many of us say yes to being friends, and then that is it? We have no interaction with them at all. It speaks to our ego. Our ego likes to be wanted. Our ego likes to have people ask us. But every time you say yes to a connection and you add another friend to your connections, to your friends list, every single time that you do that, you start to water down, and I want you to get this, you start to water down the probability that you are going to be seen by them when you are creating your posts, and vice versa. People want to connect with you when they can know you. They want to get to know you. They want to like you. They don't just want to get to know you, but they want to like you. And they need to know you and like you before they're going to trust you. You have to have someone that trusts you in order for them to say yes to being your customer, to actually spending their valuable time in connecting with you and doing an exchange of money with you. So ask yourself, out of all of my connections on these various platforms, how many can I say that I actually have that relationship with, where I know them, I like them, and I trust them, where they know me, they like me, and they trust me? Now, I will bet that most of you wouldn't probably be able to come up with an honest answer of 50 people, because you are so inundated with so many people that, again, it's like a needle in a haystack with all of these people and all of their posts. You are missing what they're doing. They're missing what you are doing, and you are failing to have the impact. You're creating all this amazing content. You have thought out what you want to post. You've thought about, you've written something, you've created something, and you're putting it out there. And yet most people are not seeing this. And that's because your numbers are too high. Your numbers are too high. You need to start deleting. So we're going to talk about deleting. We're going to talk about why and how you go about deleting, and how you start to figure that out for your business on these social media platforms, and how that's going to start to turn around and bring you true connections. And connections, true connections, strong connections will increase the probability of actually having a sale, but it's going to do a lot more than just that. And it's going to add to your business. Absolutely. So my friends, we're going to go off to our next break. You are listening to Inspired Choices with myself, Christine McIver, on the Inspired Choices Network. We look forward to seeing you after this break.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices Radio Show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my friends. Really happy that you are here. So tonight we're talking all about connections. We're talking about connections from the business perspective and how to really make those connections meaningful and really create the pleasure of being in your own business. Now, I want you to really send home the message of connections, friends on social media. They are not the only reason to have connections, is not just to make a sale. There are lots of magical reasons to have connections on social media. And again, to have really meaningful connections that can contribute to you and your business. When you have strong connections, when you really get to know individuals and you create a relationship with them, they can become people who are strong advocates for what you do. They may not be your someone that needs your products or your services, but they may be someone who's a strong advocate. As you build that relationship with them, they may be somebody who's commenting and saying some lovely things about you. They might be somebody that knows somebody else. These strong connections can be great referrals. They can be fantastic referrals. When you really create a connection with someone and you really create that intimate connection with someone, people also want to be intimately connected with others. So your focus for your business is to create solid, intimate connections where people know you. You've taken the time to get to know them. And what do you need to be doing is you need to be supporting what they're doing as well. And that's why the algorithms on social media, they actually beat down the probability of that, the possibility of you seeing what others are doing when you do not have, when you have a list of way too many friends or connections on those platforms. It just does. It starts to weed out, algorithms, they work crazy, but they actually start to weed out the different individuals, and you start to see the same people's posts all the time, right? And you start to suddenly see people are talking about, oh, there was something I looked up the other day. I can't remember what it was. I don't know what it was, but I looked up something on Google, and suddenly I go into one of the social media platforms, and I start seeing posts from people about that, or an advertisement as well. So the way that you interact on computers, on your phone, is going to increase the probability of what you are going to see. So if you desire to create connections with people and to interact with them, support what they are doing, and have them see what you're doing and support you, then you have to be able to change the algorithms. And how you change the algorithms is lowering the number of people you are interacting with. This is key from a business perspective. You've got to think numbers, and you've got to think, okay, who do I really need to be connected with? Who do I want to be connected with? And who am I willing? And this is one of the biggest questions. Who am I willing to nurture a relationship with on social media? Who are you willing to nurture a relationship with? Most of us, we go through this process of, we make a connection, and then, hold on, something in my eye. we make a connection, and then we start to go into, okay, I make a connection, and then I start to show them what I'm doing, and I start to do this push energy of sales, right? And we don't take the time. We don't stop and take the time to really get to know what they're doing. We don't stop and take the time to really read what they're posting, listen to what they're posting, interacting with what they are posting, and to really, really nurture a relationship. My friends, social media and really garnering a relationship that can possibly become a customer for your business, it's the long game. It's absolutely the long game. I want you to imagine making a connection that turns into a colleague, that evolves into a friendship, that blossoms into a customer. That is the order that we need to be doing that. That is the order that is going to change something in your business. And like I said, what we're usually doing is we're grabbing connections, we're pushing sales, and then we're praying for a yes that they're going to hire us. How's that working out for you? How exhausted are you? How worn out are you, right? I know that I absolutely have been worn out by this, and it's something that I totally am going to be changing across the board. I want to really have connections. If I go to like a networking event, there's not going to be 5,000 people in there that I'm going to try to shout at what I am doing. I want to go in there, and every day, imagine every day, you actually had just two strong interactions with one of your friends / connections on social media. 2. And you did that every day, and your only objective was 2. Now, that doesn't mean that you stop and you create you get on a video call and you spend an hour to an hour and a half with 2 people a day. That's not the way it goes. It can be something as little as sending them a message. Hi, how are you? I loved that post you put up yesterday. The reason that I really loved it is it spoke to me about this, and this. It was very cool. And then have a generative conversation with them. And that conversation will likely last, I don't know, if they're there and they're answering right away, probably talking about 10 minutes. So if you even took 15 minutes twice a day to connect with 2 people, right? That's close to 800 connections that you would make and really nurture a year. Imagine that. 800 connections. That is fantastic. Now that is over and above maybe referrals, or where people are looking, they're actually seeing your advertisements, or they have been referred to you, and they're in different groups where they may see what you're posting and be quite interested in it. I am talking about long-term creating connections. These connections, these friendships that we have on social media, they need to become our foundation of our business. They need to become the people that are going to really appreciate that we take the time to spend with them, just like you would want people to take the time to spend with you. That's what you need to be replicating with other people. And these individuals, they will become your meat and potatoes, as we say in our business. They are the meat and potatoes. Real nurtured relationships become the foundation of our business, so our businesses can continue to exist. Does this make sense? Is this kind of following through in your mind around how you can have those really strong connections? It makes a world of difference. It really does. And the very cool thing about it is when you are having these fundamental connections and really nurturing a relationship, you walk away, whether there's been a sale or not, you walk away having had someone else that has interacted with you, and you become nurtured as well. It changes the energy of how you do business on social media, and it changes what business can actually be. Business can be something where we communicate with individuals, really one-to-one communication, where we grow a relationship, where we spend the time supporting each other in what we do. That's where it becomes pleasure, instead of this push, get the numbers. I don't think, I've watched people do this for years now. I did it as well. And I can tell you, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And it feels like most people are experiencing, it feels like nobody's seeing my stuff. It feels like I'm doing it every day. I'm getting no interaction. And it makes such a huge difference. My fabulous producer tonight is Kim, and she says, I think nurtured relationships are the foundation of a successful business. Absolutely, 100%. And I'm telling you, my friends, when you make a connection, when you make a friendship, and you continue to invest time in nurturing that relationship, checking in with them, saying Merry Christmas, checking in with them. I love that picture of your dog. What's your dog's name? When you are doing that, it is easier to retain a customer, a client, a connection, than it is to try to go out there and get a whole bunch of new ones. It is so much easier. Continue to nurture those relationships. That energy of nurturing will nurture you. Your days will become more pleasurable. You will enjoy your business, and you will feel less frustrated. There's so many people that are trying to do business on social media, and they're so incredibly frustrated. And this is one of the biggest reasons why they are not creating true connections, having intimate relationships built with other individuals. So ask yourself, what is your KLT, which is know, like, and trust, with your connections? What are your customers' KLT with you? Do they know what's going on in your life? Do they have an understanding of what it is that your life is all about, what it is that your business is all about? Are they a cheerleader for you? Are you a cheerleader for them? Very, very important questions. We are going to go to our next break shortly. And when we get back, I'm going to teach you some tools. Some of them are quite funny. I'm going to teach you some tools about how to start thinning out the connections on these different social media platforms. I want to teach you how you can make it easeful and how you can really start to enjoy your profiles and the connections that you have to your different profiles on social media. So my friends, you are listening to Christine McIver here on the Inspired Choices Network show. On the Inspired Choices show on the Inspired Choices Network. We will be back right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Hey, my friends, thank you so much for coming back. Today, we are talking all about connections, adding and deleting connections. So the first part I want to go into is about deleting connections. So there are different apps out there that you can actually go and find where you can delete. There's phone apps, there's online apps where you can actually go in and it'll do a search of, the least interacting people on your feeds, and go check that out. I'm sorry, I don't have the name off the top of my head, but this is a very, very fast way that you can really sift through the amount of people. So these are some of the questions that I want you to ask yourself when you are thinking about, should I stay connected to this person or should I add this person? Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 questions for you to ask yourself. Okay, so what the first question is, why am I connected to this person? Why am I connected to this person? The second question, would I know them if they stood in front of me? Would I know them if they stood in front of me in the street, anywhere? Do I know what they do? Do I even know them? Are they really a prospect? Are they really a prospect? Like, I don't know them, but let me go check it out and see if they're a prospect. Are they really a prospect for me? And the last question is, will I invest the time with them? Will I invest the time with them? You need to be honest with yourself and be upfront and be ruthless. This is not easy, especially most of us have well over 1,000 people that we are connected with in each of these different social media platforms, especially if you're in business and you've been following the trends of what people have been doing. So it's time to become brutal. I'll tell you, the first place when I started doing this a couple of years ago is this sounds terrible, but this is true. Each day when Facebook gives us a prompt for, hey, it's so-and-so's birthdays today, I go look at the birthdays. And if I don't know these people, I go, who is this? So I go check out, and there is on the right-hand side, across from the line where it says you're friends with them, there's 3 dots. And if you click on that, you can click on where it says see friendship. And when you see friendship, you can see any posts that you've exchanged with each other on each other's pages. And I'm telling you, the minute that I see that I didn't contribute to them, they didn't contribute to me, usually just around the birthdays, but that's at the very least. You want to have that kind of connection, then I unfriend them. So it's actually the birthday. That's the place where people clear out the birthdays. You use their birthday as an opportunity to delete them. I love it. Kim says, yes, that's when I delete them. And I know that that maybe sounds poor and not very kind, but you know what? If I haven't interacted with them, then they don't know who I am either. I don't know them. They don't know me. Why are we connected at all? We're not contributing to each other. We're not interacting with each other. And the algorithms are counting on that. So you know what? You need to step into this and you really need to start thinning that out. It's so, so important. All right. So that's one way you can do it without having an app. You can just sit there and you can go through your friends list and look at people. And if you don't recognize them, then delete them. A lot of times on those apps that I was telling you about, it will show you, I know how to do this in TikTok, but it will show you the people that have actually, get this, who have actually inactivated their profile. So you may have quite a few people that it still shows they're part of your numbers, but they've inactivated their profile and therefore it's dead. Well, guess what? That's going against your numbers for interacting. So pay attention to that. You want to also be really looking at if you are willing, if you said, yes, you know the person that you're connecting with, you really want to ask yourself, is this someone that I do know, that I do like, and that I do trust? And if you get a maybe, ask yourself, am I willing to invest more time in order to increase the trust with that person? Am I willing to do that? If these people are someone that you're getting a no from, or they are people that post things that completely go against your values and your belief system, they will be a distraction for you. And that is actually going to pull you out of doing business online with more pleasure. Unfriend them. It's not adding to your world. And if you're not happy with them, you're certainly not adding to theirs. It's time to get clear about your strategy. It's time to get clear about who you're interacting with and who you want to build real connections with, real relationships with. You want to have more pleasure in your business. This is one of the ways you absolutely need to lean in to do that. And I really encourage you to spend some time, maybe spend an hour a week looking at this and clearing this up. And then once you have cleared up your friends list, your connections list on all these profiles, start to create a strategy of who you want to connect with, who you want to nurture the relationships with more and more and more. Remember, those relationships can contribute to you in many ways. If you have 500 friends and that person has 500 friends, they may know people that would be a great customer sales, client relationship for you. Having referrals, that is the strongest way to make a sale, is being referred by someone else. Now, I have built my business on referrals, and this is one of the best and quickest ways to make a sale, is when someone has referred them to you. And nobody's going to refer them if they don't know who you are and what you do, and if they don't know, like, or trust you. So building those and nurturing those relationships, even with people that are not going to become a customer, but that are going to be a strong business colleague, those are feathers in your cap as well. This is very, very important. And as you go forward, after you've thinned out, you want to then start looking at, who do I want to add? Who do I want to bring into my world? And get very discerning about who you add. Get very, very discerning and really understand that your time is money and connection is key for you and for your business. All right, my friends, thank you so much for being here. Until next week, I want you to remember, you can always make another choice. Have a fabulous week. I'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, be willing to choose what you really desire. This is your life, making the choices that bring you all that you desire.